Welcome back to Benny's Custom Works, proudly supported by Sparesbox and Valvoline. Don't forget BCW5 on checkout. This week, we're not working on the Sigma. We're about to send the Cresta and the Mustang to Drag Week in America. But before we dive in, we've got this fresh new official Drag Week 2022 t-shirt available on the Team Valvoline website, www.teamvalvoline.com.au. And as a thank you to all of our viewers, we've got a discount code BCW15 on checkout on this shirt. That's enough of that. Let's get to it. So yeah, a bit of mixed emotions this time with dropping two cars off to the port this time. This is the first time we've actually shipped two cars together as our two-car team. Benny's Mustang's ready to roll as well. So yeah, it's gonna be pretty cool to have both cars running Drag Week this year. Also got to thank people like Valvoline for their support. We literally wouldn't be able to do Drag Week without them. So yeah, it's cool to have them on board. Also, Golby's Parts have jumped on board with us this year as well. They're our two major sponsors. So yeah, by all means, if you're keen to jump on board as a partner, flick us a message, text, email, whatever. A lot of our contact details are on Facebook or Instagram. Both the Cresta and the Mustang have actually changed quite a lot in preparation for Drag Week this year. A PDM's gone into the Cresta, which you may or may not have seen on our and Haltech's channel. If you haven't seen those install videos, jump onto their both Haltech's channel and also check out our channel for the install. Yeah, we've had keypads going to both cars as well, so we've got the Haltech 5x3 keypad in both of them, and they allow us to control a lot of functions differently via CAN. So traditionally in the Cresta and the Mustang, we had rotary trim modules which use inputs into the ECU up. So by removing those inputs and putting them into the rotary keypad, the keypad module, that allows us to actually use those inputs for other functions. So we've added transmission temperature into the Cresta, and also having the PDMs allowed us to add extra inputs as well. So we've got things like rear shock travel sensor, gear position sensor in the Cresta, coolant pressure and temperature now as well in the Cresta, as well as the cylinder head temperature that the Barrett already had. So yeah, we've been fortunate enough to add a lot of features this year and give us a lot more data. Also, the Cresta's got a brand new torque converter, and we've gone to a Circle D bolt together converter. We'd also like to welcome again Circle D to the channel. Those guys are actually going to be hosting us in Houston. Because of the location change of Drag Week this year, it's actually closer for us to ship to a different port. Also logistically, it has worked out a little bit better for us. So yeah, we're going to be shipping into Houston this year, so something a little bit different. We'll probably try and make it over to South Carolina though and see the guys at CPS, because they're always up for a good time and they always have helped us out. So yeah, got to keep the love for CPS as well. And also, it should be cool to have a meet in the States. It's not our first meet there, but I think we can probably make a pretty big one and get it to blow up pretty hard. So I think it'd be pretty cool to see some of the street cars from Texas, because Texas has got a bit of a rep for having pretty cranky street cars. It's been so long since we were at Drag Week. 2019 was our last one. 2020 didn't happen. 2021 wasn't open to international entrants. So Drag Week were actually nice enough to allow me to use my golden ticket. So for anyone that's not familiar with the way Drag Week works, if you place first, second or third in your class, you get basically a pre-approved entry to come back. You still have to pay. It's not a free ticket, but you don't have to go through the chaos of trying to get a ticket when the general public tickets go for sale. Effectively, this is the first time I'm ever actually going to have a ticket before the sign-on day, and the same with Benny with the Mustang. He's got a ticket as well. So it'd be pretty cool to rock up, do sign-on day nice and early, probably get a couple of passes on the car and actually just be able to get some track time down rather than sit in the blistering sun till 3 o'clock sweating that we're not going to get a spot. We've got a ton of spares this year, hoping that we don't need any of them, but we are trying to plan for any situation. I have read the rules, and again, I can't see a reason why if we swap the engine because of a catastrophic failure, we wouldn't be disqualified, but that's maybe a conversation for another time, because there's definitely two different sides of that coin and there's two different opinions on that. I'm also probably going to actually enter a different category this year. So we've run in modified power adder every year so far. However, both the Cresta and the Mustang can only run 850s in America because of the roll cage design. I'm never going to put a Pro Mod or a funny car cage in my car, and Benny's not that keen to do it with the Mustang either. So he's probably going to go to Super Street Power Adder, and I think I'm actually going to go into Pro Street. So Pro Street means you'll have to run, or I'll have to run, a tyre that's at least 11.5 inches wider. So we're going to have to put a larger tyre on the car. So I've got a 325/50 ET Street R, which is a slightly different tyre to what we normally run, which is a 275/60 ET Pro. I don't think that's going to be an issue as far as the car performs, because they're both still a 28-inch tall tyre, and if anything, it'll have more grip on the hit. We're going to be sort of, as much as I hate to say it, trying to dial in that 850 pass and almost make my car a bracket car. Oh, there I said it. But in saying that, I don't have an 8-second car that's going to run 1050, so it doesn't hurt me that much. We might still try and run one out the back door on Friday, but that's always been the plan every year, and we've never really had enough firepower by the end of the week to do that with either car, really, actually. We've had a few issues previously where 2019, my race engine actually failed, freakishly dropped the valve at idle, backing it off a hoist, and then Benny had the hybrid engine of both my engine and his engine put together. Robbie Abbott, shout out to him too. He was a godsend and helped us actually piece that thing back together with Pete and the guys at HED. Hopefully this year we'll have a relatively trouble-free run, touch wood, but in saying that, we've got a spare transmission, a spare converter, we've got transmission parts as well. We've got a full Empire EMR 1200 engine. We've got a ton of Raceworks fittings. We've got heaps of Haltech gear, including sensors. So, as well as heaps of hard parts from Spares Box. We've got tons of plugs. We've got all sorts of bits and pieces. We've actually got even ignition leads this year from ICE. So everything that we've changed, I've always tried to buy at least one more for spares. So when I bought the ignition lead kits to build our iGen 1A setups, I bought 3 sets of leads, not 2. So we've got those sitting there. Yeah, we've got tons and tons of random stuff that hopefully we're never going to need, but if we do, we've got them on hand. Even things like cam and crank sensors, we've got alternators, we've got water pumps. So I've said this 100 times, and it's probably my own fault, but running an exotic engine in America, like a Barra, you can't just go down to the parts shop and buy parts. If you were to have an LS or a small block Chev or a small block Ford or a big block Ford, any of those kind of engines, you pretty much guarantee someone else in the field's going to be running that engine. To my knowledge, we're still going to be the only 2 Barras at Drag Week. It'd be fantastic if someone in America does actually get their Barra-powered car to Drag Week. I know there's the Barramont, which is running around at the moment. I saw that on Motion Raceworks' Instagram the other day. That's a pretty cool build. And there's also Charles Briggs, who's got a Black Fox, ironically, with a red rock cover Barra in it. That thing is super neat. It'd be nice to see that thing actually turn some laps. I know he's been having some issues lately. Good to see that car actually coming back together now in the last couple of days. So hopefully we see some numbers out of that thing pretty soon. And speaking to some other guys, speaking to Harry and his young fella, they're going to go this year. David Newburn's actually got Harry's car at the moment. He's giving a bit of a spruce up and got it ready. So yeah, it's going to be cool to get the band back together, see all the guys and just catch up with everyone that is in the Drag Week family that we haven't seen for, well, now 3 years. And it's yeah, it's going to be cool to just see what they've gone to and what cars everyone's going to bring this year. It'd be cool to see if Finnegan brings Blasphemy out again. I know he hasn't had the best run with that car historically, but I think he won his category in 2019, so that was pretty cool. It'd be cool to see if he comes to try and defend that title. There's over 400 cars coming this year, so it's going to be pretty cool to see what turns up. I believe they're actually going to change the way that Drag Week works this year as well, where it's not going to be first in the lanes gets the first run. So I believe it's going to be basically based on ET. So if you're, I think it's 6 to 8.5 seconds is the first group they're going to allow to run. Then 8.5 to 9.5 or 9.5 or 8.5 to 10. So we'll be in the second group every day. So that's effectively going to mean we don't have to be there at 6 o'clock in the morning. So it'd be nice to be able to sort of take a bit of a breather and enjoy the event a bit more for what it is. The one thing that is going to change a little bit this year with Drag Week, which will impact our strategy a little bit, is that where they're actually going to change it to ET brackets. So if we rock up at 7 o'clock in the morning, we're not going to be first in the lane. So I'd much prefer to kind of, while we'll still probably get there at the same sort of time, we can actually watch some racing. So there's going to be brackets, I believe it's 6:00 to 8:50 will be the first bracket, then 8:50 to 9:30 or 10. So we'll effectively fall into the second bracket of, or session, should I say, of race time. So I'd say we'll probably be on track around 9 o'clock, 9:30, something like that. So it'll still allow us to pretty much do our one and done game and get on the road, but it'll also allow us to actually watch some of the faster cars and some of the cool stuff in the morning, and also be able to just cruise around the pits and see what's going on. Well, that pretty much sums us up for today. I know it's been a lot of talking, and thanks for sticking through. Yeah, thanks to all you guys for their support as usual. We're going to actually have some merch coming out pretty soon in partnership with Valvoline for Drag Week as well, so stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.